was afraid you weren't home. I'm just about to dash out, but I have a question for you. Sure, I called Uncle Gus early today, and I don't think he knew who I was. It was the other's conversation, kind of goofy. You know, he sounded drunk or confused or maybe both. That's not like him. We all know he's grubby, but he always knows exactly where he is and what's going on. Not this time. Maybe if his mates, they probably got him on pay bills. And this lady, that doesn't sound right. I know he was on pursuit, but they pull him off that as soon as they could. Have you talked to him lately? Not since you left, but Henry's been to see him 2 or 3 times. If there was a problem, I'm sure he'd have mentioned it. You want me to look up? If you don't mind, she said. After he hung up, I called back and spoke to Solana, hoping to get her assessment of the situation. She thinks he may be showing early signs of dementia. Well, that's worrisome, I say. I go over in the next couple of days and have a chat with him. Thanks. Could you ask Henry if he noticed anything? Sure. I'll get back to you as soon as I have something to report. Tuesday morning, I set aside an hour to serve a 3-day pay or quiet notice on a tenant in a Colgaten apartment building. Ordinarily, Richard Compton, the owner of the building, will have delivered for eviction notice himself in hopes of causing the renter into catching up. Eviction notice himself in hopes of causing the renter into catching up. Compton had owned the property for less than 6 months, and he'd been busy putting out the deathbeds. People who decline to pay their rent can sometimes be a surly lot, and to have offered to punch his lights out, he decided it'd be so smart to send someone in his place, nailing me. I personally thought it was cowardly on his part, but he'd offered me $25 to hand someone a piece of paper, and it seemed like adequate recompense for 2 seconds worth of work. Traffic was light, and I made the 15-minute drive with my radio tuned to one of those talk shows where listeners call in to ask advice about marital and social woes. I'd become a big fan of the hostess and found it entertaining to test my reactions against hers. I spotted the street number I was looking for and pulled in at the car. I folded the eviction notice and tucked it in my jacket pocket. As a general rule, in serving papers of any kind, I don't like to show up waving official-looking documents. Better to get the lay of the land before making my purpose clear. I hefted my bag from the passenger seat as I emerged and looked at the car behind me. I took a minute to scan the premise, which looked like a movie version of a prison. It was staring at 4 three-story buildings, arranged to form a square with the corners open and wallways between. 24 apartments were lumped together in each adorned block of stucco. Junipers had been playing along the foundations, perhaps in the autumn, to soften the facade. Unfortunately, most of the evergreens had suffered a blight that left the branches as sparse as last year's Christmas trees, and the remaining needless the color of frost. Across the front of the nearest building, I could see a short row of slab porches, one step high, furnished with the occasional element, a long chair, and a pelagic inverted bit of roof had been taken above each front door, but none were large enough to offer protection from the elements. In the rainy season, you could stand there, house key in hand, as you fumbled to get in, and by the time the door finally. Thank you so much for being here. Have a sweet dreams.